Alright, for today's adventure, we need to repair another car. This time the situation is a little bit more severe because the transmission sprang a leak, and I'm not known for transmission repair, and that's actually one of the reasons I generally either sell the car or junk title it. But today we're going to give it a stab. So here's the situation. And here she is in all of her glory. I've done a lot of work to this vehicle. Yeah, the bumper fell off, which ain't that big of a deal. Luckily, my mother-in-law was able to find a new vehicle just as soon as this one retired. I brought myself a jumper box. I highly recommend this to everybody. I highly recommend everybody keep those on board. So you're actually able to keep yourself on the road in case your alternator dies. If someone needs a jump, you don't have to move your car in directly in front of theirs to use this. It does, it only jumps about 4 times before that battery depletes. So the battery ain't, obviously, this battery is small. Let's get this car up and running. First, let's pop the hood. Let's do a check of all of our fluids first. Let's see where that oil's at. Blacker than. Needs an oil change ASAP, but it's full. It's right where it needs to be. Here's the radiator. I'm hoping that there's enough antifreeze. Nope, she's frozen. Boys, she's frozen. Oh, shit. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, the sun is officially in the sky, and this is the next day. So just a small update. I did get the Saturn started. I got it warmed up and melted the ice in the radiators. That tells me everything is flowing good. That tells me there's, the ice didn't create an issue that could crack the head or any number of things. But it looks like we're in good shape because the ice wasn't frozen in the water pump. It was able to move and rotate. Let's hope for the best. So for today's agenda, what we are going to do, we're going to go get the Saturn and we're going to pull it right here up on these ramps. So we're going to bring the almighty portable air tank. I have a compressor back there, and I filled this up to about 120-ish pounds, something like that. I don't think any of the tires were flat, but they definitely look like they could use some air. So there's that. We went to Dollar General yesterday. We picked us up about 6 quarts of transmission fluid, none of which I'm expecting to actually stay in the car. It's just enough to get it back here. And when we get it back, we got some antifreeze that we're going to get all that water out, and then we're going to put actual antifreeze in the radiator so it'll quit freezing. So that's on the agenda. Let's do it. The first thing we're going to do, just to get it out of the way so I don't forget, is we're going to go ahead and gauge these tires and get them up to spec. So these tires call for 36 PI. We're going to go for 35. Surprisingly, none of them were below 30 pounds of pressure, which absolutely shocks me. So I already checked the oil and the transmission fluid last night, and transmission fluid's off the stick, which that's this car's problem. It's got a massive transmission fluid leak, but I have no tools in its current location, and I need it to at least go 2, maybe 3 miles tops to a location where all my tools is, and I can get underneath this thing. I'm hoping for 1 to 2 things here. I'm hoping that the leak is an axle seal, which is fine. That I can definitely repair that, and it would definitely make for a very interesting video. The second scenario is the transmission fluid pan itself is leaking. I'm not really sure how big or small of a job that's going to be, but other than the axle seal or the transmission fluid pan, I cannot imagine anywhere else that it would be leaking. The filter's not in the pan. The filter is a canister style filter. It goes right under the breather box here. So, I mean, it would be nice if it was the filter leaking. That's a $15 repair done deal. So, anyway, let's get the jumper box out here, get this beast started, get warmed up just a little bit, pour about 1 quart transmission fluid in it, and see how long it holds it, see if I'm wasting my time, because as soon as I start pouring transmission fluid in this, I gotta take off. I mean, it comes out pretty quick. Oh shit. bucks at Walmart. Do not leave home without it. Not a drop on the stick. Dollar General actually sells castor oil products. And unfortunately, they don't carry my oil, but they do carry a good transmission fluid. Of course, they always got their brand. It's bad. It's bad. It's really bad. Good news though, I think it's around the axle. This side. Okay. We got it back on the stick. Not quite where we need it, but getting there. So I'm going to go ahead and lock up all my belongings. As soon as I get this topped off, I'm going to need to take off. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I'll see y'all at the house. And as you all can see, mission accomplished. We got her home. I couldn't be happier about that. The transmission shifted great all the way here. The transmission in this was always a little bit rough, but it felt smooth as silk. So I just spent $36 on transmission fluid to find out where a leak is coming from. So let's do that, and then we'll get the water out of the radiator and fill it full of actual coolant. Let me go get some safety glasses. All right, boys, as you can see, I got my damn safety glasses. Now, there is one other problem that I'm concerned about. This is an old car. It's got a lot of miles on it. It's well over 200,000 miles, almost 300,000 miles. Now, when your transmission springs a leak, you got to repair the leak and put new transmission fluid in, and there lies the problem. New transmission fluid can potentially wipe out a transmission. So when you do a transmission change, you're only changing out 30 to 50% of the transmission fluid. And that new fluid mixes with the old fluid. Now that old fluid has all the metal shavings from the transmission's wear and tear in it, and has wedged itself in the rotating parts of it, where the cogs and the teeth are. And your transmission becomes dependent on that, almost like a drug. So when you pour that old transmission fluid out with all the metal shavings and wear and tear of your transmission and pour a new in, you got fresh detergent that does, in some cases, a really too good of a job at cleaning all those cogs and gears off. When you change out transmission fluid, especially if your transmission is currently slipping and you change that fluid out, it's liable to finish taking out the transmission, because it'll clean out the entire inside of your transmission, and it's relying on gum and gunk stuck in certain places to make it work functionally. Luckily for me, I maintained this vehicle since I owned it, and it's never slipped. It has jerked, but it's never slipped. So I'm hoping and praying that I can fix this baby, get it back on the road, and save the transmission. If I can get this vehicle up and on the road and stay there for at least a month, so I can get this Toyota in a garage and change out the head gasket, we'll be saved, because we'll have two vehicles on the road, and me and my wife can both work at the same time. So that's my hope and my prayer. And the Toyota is worth rebuilding. A lot of people hear the term blown head gasket and they go ahead and junk title the car and take it to a junkyard, sell it, whatever have you. Guys, a blown head gasket is not the end of the world, I promise you. Anyway, enough chit chat. Let's see what we got going on under here. Yeah, alright. So as you can see, there's where some drips are coming from. There's still some coming out. It's all over the bottom of this transmission pan. Right there is where the axle goes into the motor. Right there is the transmission filter. The oil filter is back behind the motor there. I'm thinking the leak is back in there where the axle goes into it. But we're going to need to start the vehicle to get it to pour out. Oh, boys, I don't know. So here's what we do know. It's coming down and hitting the bottom of this pan and falling off right where you see that drip. That's what we do know for a fact. Let's get the car started. Alright, so let's see if we got better results now. See if we can't catch it draining. Yeah, okay. It's coming out now. Boys, it's coming out of the filter. Oh, that's nice, actually. Okay, I hope that's it. That's an easy fix. Okay, so I think it's coming out of the filter. That's $15 repair. Hopefully that's all it is. Let's go get one. I'm fortunate enough to have a canister style filter system. You can get these online for about $2, $3, $5, but AutoZone for $12 I get it today. Some things like this I'll just go ahead and buy out of the store. So there's very few things in life I'm super anal about, and transmission is one. So I bought this big ass draining pan exclusively for the transmission, and the reason I won't use this for anything but the transmission is because the fluid that comes out of the motor, in some cases you only need to change out 3 quarts of the transmission fluid and put some of the oat back in. So I already got it loosened up. I'm curious to find out why this is leaking, because the seal around that should be good, honestly. I don't know why it wouldn't be. Ooh, that thing's heavy. Alright. It ain't focusing very good, but yeah, it's hitting the pan. Set that drain out a little bit. Alright, let's pour it out there. God bless, it's tight. Alright. And here we have it, boys. I don't know why that gasket's leaking. It looks like it's in good shape. Of course, this magnet right here is going to come off and be put on a new one. And we got the right one, boys. We got the right one. I just don't see any reason for that gasket to leak. At all. Absolutely none. Oh well. That matches up. The seal on this new one's a lot bigger. A lot of people like to clean that magnet. We're not going to do that. Not in a car this old. So you clean this magnet off, you take away the metal shavings. I want to leave some of that in there. That ain't even that dirty anyway. Just like that. I can tell the weight difference. This one's a little bit heavier. Of course, it's a clogged filter, so it is what it is. And that might have been it. This filter might have been clogged and it was just pressing it out. That might have been it. I bet you that was it. This filter was clogged to the gills and couldn't let any through, and it was pressing it out through the... Because I can't think of any other reason. Never heard of that before, but... And another thing, one thing I'm happy to see with this magnet is there's no chunks on it. It's just dust. Just metallic dust. If there's chunks on it, driver till the balls fall off of it, and don't be shocked when she breaks down. So we're going to put just a little bit in here. Just enough to get it wet. Hey, transmissions are a very sensitive thing. As full as we can get it without it spilling out when we turn it sideways. Let's maneuver our way down there. You want to be careful not to cross thread that. That magnet's hanging on for dear life. That magnet's making this whole process really weird. Because it feels like it's tugging, but that's actually a magnet. Slowly but surely get her on there. Let's tighten her down. That's as tight as I can get it by hand. You don't want to get these things on super tight, because when they build up pressure and seal, they air seal, get an airlock going. And they are absolutely hard as hell to get off. So even though I tightened this as tight as I could by hand, if I ever have to go get that back off, I'm probably going to have to get a oil filter wrench to help me get it off there. So far, so good. Alright, boys, just clean this bottom off. Boys, I think we fixed it. Not a drop. I think we fixed it, boys. We're back on the road. So I'm gonna let this car run. It's been months since it's been had played with, so let's let it run, get good and hot. See how bad I overfilled it. Needs about a quart. I know a lot of y'all are thinking, I got this up on ramps, the car's elevated. What you can't see is my driveway's a slope. So when I put my car up on a ramp, it's actually level. Right now, let's get that fluid topped off. So the fluid is stopping right beneath that bottom bubble. I'm gonna go ahead and just dump the rest of that cord in. I'm happy, guys. I'm really happy. This could have been a lot worse. I really did get off easy this time. Comes up to that second bubble on the stick. It's coming up to right there. It's in the OK zone. This car is so old, it's calling for Dextron 2. Honestly, I can't speak for newer vehicles, but it really don't matter what you throw in older vehicles. As long as this stuff don't really lube. This is a detergent, a hydraulic fluid detergent is what this is. Oil is a lubricant. This does lube, but it's more of a hydraulic fluid with detergent in it is what this is. So we're good to go. What I'm going to do now, because it went bone dry, or almost bone dry, on transmission fluid several different times, and I want to switch gears 15 to 30 seconds a piece and make sure that fluid is in every nook and cranny inside that transmission. It's very peculiar to check the engine lights on. Let me go get my code reader and we'll figure out what's up. Another Walmart special, 20 bucks, Walmart, read your codes. Let's plug in the OBD2. The car's still running, but usually you can scan for codes either way. Enter 2 codes found. Intake air sensor low. We just monkeyed with that, so it might take some time for it to figure that out, that it's back together. Exhaust gas recirculation sensor A circuit low. I don't think this car has an EGR valve on it. Must have a sensor. Good news is it ain't nothing critical. They need to be addressed, but they're not insanely critical at the current moment. I don't know what in the world a Chewy granola bar is doing in the floorboard of this car, but hey, there's the air sensor. It's on there. I don't know what the fuss is all about, but it's on there. So over here is a radiator problem. We'll be fixing that here in just a minute. I got the parts to replace that. I got them on the internet. Well, I'll take care of that here in a little bit. Since I'm not going to replace the radiator today, I'm just going to drain it and refill it. I'll go ahead and throw that in the video as a little bonus here. That ain't going to take much at all. So let's do that. Let's get that water out of that coolant and put fresh coolant in there and call it a day. The go is to somehow cram our fingers up this hole. And there's the drain. And we're going to drain every bit of water out of this beast and get some good fresh antifreeze in there. The question is how I'm going to get my hand through that small ass hole. Oh yeah. Yeah. Hotter than hell. And woo! Boys, that was hot. Just so you know. Got some 30-degree burns. Let's get this lid off. There's a safer way of doing that, I know. I'm sure there is. There we go. She's pissing now. And I'm missing half of it. Just pure nasty coming out of that radiator. Just nasty. I would probably advise you to let your motor cool halfway before you just did that. I'm sure I'll be fine, but that did burn. Is that it? Surely there's more than that in there. I know there is. Thermostat's probably holding it. Should be at least 2 gallons in there. I got that shit all over me. RockAuto.com is a gig worker's friend. If you work in the gig economy and you want to make your business more profitable by working on your own vehicle, Rock Auto. I can't remember how much this was, but if I can afford it, so can you. So here's a brand new reservoir to put in. That one's all cracked, jacked up. Pair them out. Look identical almost every way. Let's do this. I'm going to assume those are 10mm bolts. And then we need a flathead. There we go. Now we need to get this off. There's the sensor. This hose is done. Dry rotted as a mofo. Patient is the name of the game when it comes to being a mechanic. I get asked a lot if I value my time, because I work on my own vehicles and I work in the gig economy. But when I bring up, you know, I work on my own cars to save money, first question I get asked after I say that is, don't you value your time? Meaning, wouldn't I rather take it to a mechanic, have a mechanic work on my, so I can stay at home and play on the Xbox? And to me, that's a luxury. It certainly is a luxury. But to me, it's more important. This is an expensive piece of equipment. The second most expensive purchase that most Americans will pay for in their life. The most expensive being a home. I want to make sure the job gets done right. Even if I make a mistake, I learn from that mistake. I move on. The next vehicle I get, I do not repeat that mistake. You know, I did not learn this without making mistakes. Yes, I value my time, but I value my vehicle a little bit more than I value my time. So when I'm working on my own vehicle, I'm in control of how fast that gets done. My time is free. If I was a mechanic, I'd charge $20 an hour. But my personal time is mine, at my disposal, and it's free. I want to spend that time making sure that my machine, my money-making machine, is running as nice and as smooth and as clean as it can. Yes, I value my time. Use my personal time to make sure my machine is well lubed and ready to go the next day. So let's get this back together here. Here's a brand new one. We match it up. Nearly identical in every way. It's what we like to see. Let's do this in the same exact order that we took her off. Just like that. So now we plug the sensor back in. We put this doohickey back on. And remember, this was over that. Just bring the whole damn toolbox. All right, let's get this bolted down. There we go, she in there. There we go, she installed, boys. We just gotta put some, we gotta plug the radiator back up down here. And we'll put some coolant in it. All right, here's the money shot. After a while, you get really good at pouring oil and coolant into a motor without a funnel. You got to get all that air out of that system where there's nothing but liquid, so your motor don't suck air in it to cool. I'm gonna go ahead and start this motor and make it burp. She went down. She went down a lot. We're gonna let that do its thing. We're gonna go fill this up with tap. Now we got us a gallon of tap water. Let's make sure she ain't leaking. So far I've used 1 gallon of concentrate and half a gallon of tap water. 1.5 gallon. I'm sure the other half gallon is back inside this block. We're gonna let that settle. Man, this car's seen some heavy days. Boys, I think we're good. And folks, that's gonna be all for today. See how easy it is, folks? You just gotta have time and patience. Good luck out there working on your own vehicles. I hope I'm inspiring both male and female alike to work on their own vehicles and be profitable in the gig economy. That's why I'm doing this series. Plus, if something were to ever happen to me, the kids can get on YouTube and watch their dad and their granddad hold it to the camera and tinker around on his car. So, with that being said, peace.